Yeah. Looks
How
like
are you?
we're live. So
Yeah.
we're being recorded at this point. I'll just keep admitting people as they come in. No quorum yet. We need one more. All right, we might have a quorum. Whoever's dialed in on their phone, if you wouldn't mind identifying yourself, we just want to see if you're one of our commissioners or not.
Yeah, Fred Osterhout. I'm assuming that's me. I'm on a phone. I don't have a picture or anything. It's Fred Osterhout.
Okay, thank you, Fred.
Welcome.
Charlie, do you want me to start the meeting or? It's Rebecca.
Yeah, Rebecca, I think that's fine. Although, and Fred, I'm sorry, are you a commissioner? I'm filling in for Kelly today, so I'm trying to sort out who's on this commission exactly.
Yes, that's correct. I am.
Okay, then Rebecca, you've got what you need in terms of a quorum. So yeah, you're good to go.
I wasn't there last time, so I guess we're bringing this meeting to order. Tim, do you know what you guys attempted to talk about? The last agenda I got was the last meeting.
Yeah, good morning. I actually was absent at the last meeting as well. I think it was just Phil and Fred were the only two, so they didn't have a quorum, but Fred might have some idea on what was discussed at the last one in July.
Yeah, I do a little bit. It was mentioned, question that we looked at the what mayors in outlying areas were receiving for salaries, and Phil had brought up the questioned about Burlington, the mayors, what they were being compensated for. And so there was a follow-up on that and an explanation from someone in the city of Burlington. That was pretty much the agenda.
Was the goal, Fred, to make a decision on the pay for 2024's budget?
That's correct.
Okay. So
We have looking at the agenda. Yeah, so effective January 1st, 2024. Do you all have the agenda from the last meeting? Do you have that, or the agenda for today?
I do, yeah.
I have it in here in my email.
That would guide us.
Let me pull it up real quick. So I guess we have to approve the minutes from July 25th, 2023. Wait, what's the date today? Yep, that's today's. Do we have minutes from July 25th, 2023? Or did we not have a quorum to have minutes?
There are minutes. The minutes are in the packet after the Zoom sheet. So it goes agenda, Zoom sheet, and then the minutes.
I'll defer to Fred on whether the minutes are correct, because I think he was the only one at that meeting. But if they look good to him, then I will vote to approve.
I'm struggling to hear you.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
There a little better.
I just said you were the only one at the last meeting, so if those minutes that they have of the July 25th meeting, if that looks good to you, then I guess you can move to approve them.
I'm trying, I've got to pull those up. I have oh, here we are. I've got them. So no decisions were made. In fact, it's Phil and I were the only ones there. So we got to bring them up. What I have are the minutes that they sent out for us to be prepared at the July 25th meeting. So if you want to give me a second, I'll bring these up on the computer. Okay, I've got them. So it was just that requested additional information, city union contracts. Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Can you make a motion to approve those minutes, please?
I make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So that's passed. So the next is mayor and city councilman 2024 compensation. I think it's always easiest if we start with the council members. I know it was last time, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Fine with
that
me.
sounds good.
Did you guys talk about that, Fred, at the last meeting, or did you just talk
No, we
about?
No, we didn't. All that was mentioned was, since there was just two of us present, no action could be taken. So it was just looking at what we had in front of us. And that basically was, as I said, the different rates of compensation for different mayors. So that one stood out because it was higher than a lot of the others. So it was just a question that Phil had, why that was that way. So some research was done and provided.
Okay. Does
Nothing was
anybody?
discussed.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments about the council members' compensation? I think we approved to keep it last year, but at 500, but we added like a $50 if there was a mandatory meeting they had to go to.
Yeah, that was correct as far as I remember.
Yeah.
One thing,
Go ahead, Fred.
no, the only thing that that was also mentioned was that the city's budget will be running in the red this year. And I think all amounts, doesn't matter how small or what one might say is insignificant, I guess that's a way to describe it. They're all will contribute any additional costs to the budget of Sedro-Woolley. I have other comments to kind of back my thinking without going further in my thinking, but I would like to just leave it as is. You know, I wasn't at the, and maybe I'll expand on this a little bit. I wasn't able to be at the last meeting where inflationary bonus was voted on and brought up and voted on, and that's a responsibility to me to be there. I was out of town, remote location, couldn't do Zoom, couldn't make the meeting. So with that said, people of Sedro-Woolley, I have coffee with them at least twice a week, different people, and everybody's struggling. Some not, but the majority of people are trying to keep up with inflation. And now you could say, well, the vote or to approve additional funding would help those people, but as taxpayers, we're all funding it, and most of us are trying to just keep up with it. So I would like to just leave it as is, and let's see where we go through this year.
Tim, do you have any comment?
I would agree with that. I think we kind of had that same discussion the last time we met last year. I mean, it's been the same since 2018. And I remember when we first met, you know, I talked to, I think, 3 or 4 city council members, and what I gleaned from all those conversations is that's really has nothing to do with the compensation. It's more of a volunteer position. So I think all we did was added the $50 for special meetings, which I think we can just keep that the same. But I would agree with Fred that my position would be the city council's pay just remains the same at $6,000 annually with a $50 compensation for any special meetings.
I agree as well. I know the ones I talked to end up donating their $500 a month back to the community anyway, so if you guys are ready to make a motion on keeping it the same, I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to, effective January 1, 2024, keeping the city council annual compensation to $6,000. And also allowing them to receive an additional $50 for any special meeting that's called of the full council.
Any
I second
second?
that. I do
Great.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All of
Aye.
us? Okay, that one is passed. Thank you. And then, so let's open the discussion about the mayor's compensation. It looks like there's two options. Option A is no revision in May. Oh, wait, that's. Okay, I'll just read it. No, I won't, even if I don't totally understand it. No revisions to May 18, 2022 memo, 90% of CPI minimum 2%, maximum 4%, resulted in a $34,976.45 annual compensation, 4% increase from 2023. Or we could have a revision determined by committee.
If I could weigh in just for a quick minute, the reason why there was a May 18th, 2022 memo had to do with the fact that the city implemented a new classification and compensation system for non-represented employees and the AFSCME bargaining unit in early 2020. Actually, it was in 2023. But I think this memo was looking to encapsulate what the practice had been for the mayor when the salary commission formed, which was typically to follow what was in the what non-represented employees received and what AFSCME employees received, which was typically a bracketed 2 to 4%. And that's going to change a little bit at 90% of CPIU. So it was just keeping consistent with the rest of the staff, at least city hall staff and some of the public works staff. So I just wanted to provide a little bit of background if that helps.
Thank you. Did you guys read through the summary of the commission meetings that kind of showed her or showed the mayor's kind of what we decided?
Yeah, I have that in front of me. I'm actually going over it again right now. So right now, then, we are at $33,636 annually. Is that correct? How it reads?
Yeah.
So I'm in favor of that remaining and no increase.
And is that a similar reasoning behind just the overall budget? And
yes, thank you for asking, but yeah, without repeating that, that is correct. Same reasoning, correct.
So with that, Fred, does that include? So that would that still include the 90% of the CPI, minimum 2%, max 4%?
No, it would hold to this amount.
So with no CPI increase?
That's correct. It's at our discretion.
and B, yeah. Tim, where do you fit in? What's your opinion?
You know, I definitely understand I definitely understand Fred's thinking, and I agree with him on when we talk about the city council. I'm just wondering, are there other, other positions for like fire chief and police chief and stuff like that, that are gonna get the CPI increase? And then I guess the mayor wouldn't. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, I've thought of, one of the things is, would the salary commission then vote in additional inflationary bonuses each year? I mean, we come up with an annual salary, but then are we going to continue to compensate it on top of that?
So Fred, that bonus funding came from a one time, I think, Charlie can tell me if I'm wrong, like COVID funding that it's not gonna be again. And that they
Okay.
use that funding throughout the city, like for almost all the employees. So that was known that it was gonna be a one-time thing. Am I correct, Charlie?
That's correct, Rebecca. And I can speak to the fire chief as well. Each of our department director positions are now on a step system. And so they will be progressing through those steps. None of our directors are topped out at this point. So those steps for the first half to 2/3 of the scale are about 5% per year. And then after that, they tail off to about 3% to keep us competitive in the market. That system does not apply to the mayor position. That's just background information. The whole grid may move by some percentage as well, but that's yet to be determined for 2024.
Because what my thought, I guess, kind of was I know we did an increase in the salary, just a flat increase, because I think we were looking at all the other municipalities and everything, and we thought that based on our population and kind of what the mayor's role was and all that, that maybe we should increase it a little bit, which we did. But I guess my thought is kind of along the line with Fred is I would maybe say, and this is just a suggestion, that we don't need to increase the salary at all. We can leave the salary the same, but still allow for the CPI increase. And with the same, minimum, and we could even talk about the percentages, but it would be minimum 2% or a maximum 4%, depending on the CPI. And that way there would probably be a small CPI increase, but we wouldn't be actually increasing the baseline salary. Does that make sense?
What is 2%?
Yeah.
What is
Go
the
ahead.
2%?
Go ahead.
What is the 2% of the current 33,636? Can you do the math real quick? Is that the 34,976?
The 33,636.
So she's at 30, or the mayor is at 33,636. What's 2% of that?
So that's 672.
Yeah.
So if we went with the minimum, we're just talking about $672. I know I get Fred's point. I would vote to do the minimum of that CPI, that 2%, based on what what the mayor's making now.
That would get her to 34,308.
It's minimal, but it also yeah.
So do we look at rate increases? I mean, is that when we do that, we're thinking of what? Inflation or additional workload? Or, I mean, if I have employees, self-employed. So if I were to compensate, when we compensated for some inflation last year, I mean, I I know what the mayor's position, technically it's part-time, but I know it involves a lot of after hours. So I'm not, I just, as somebody that's trying to represent the
You want to justify it
taxpayer.
if somebody,
Yes,
if somebody
at
asks.
the time. Inflation is not getting better. It's you people that go to the grocery store and they're buying fuel and we're responsible, and I'm not going to say I feel responsible to try to hold the line. I don't want to say I don't care what the number is, but no matter how small it is, 672, or double that, if we went to 4, it still is a dollar amount that people of Sedro-Woolley will look at and say, you know, we're not keeping up. So I'm just, I get a lot of feedback, just sitting there quietly listening to the counter at Joy's Bakery or Bonnie Joe's, and people are struggling. So that's my position. So.
And I do agree. I mean, I work in that, those people are coming to us. So,
I know that.
Tim, are you leaning more towards Fred? Are you leaning a little bit more towards, some percentage increase?
I guess, I mean, I was kind of in agreement when you guys were talking about going to the minimum 2%. Because again, I understand, and I mean, I think we had talked about, so I'm looking at our summary meeting from May of 2022, where we just said the rates of pay set forth for the mayor shall be increased by 90% of the CPI as specified by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it shall be a minimum of 2%, a max for 4%. So I'm trying to think back on why we made that decision, whether it's just, I mean, in our business, we do, you know, a cost of living increase, you know, every year just to kind of keep up. So I'm just wondering if that was our way of just kind of, I guess, keeping up with, but I know the consumer price index is a little different. So my thought was based on, you know, inflation and exactly what Fred's talking about, and people are, you know, the economy isn't great right now. So couldn't justify any kind of increase in the mayor's salary, but maybe just pitting it to a CPI minimum of 2%, just to keep up with the market is kind of my thought.
Yeah, I know that we had a good discussion about in our first meeting about how changing this current salary because the current mayor works more than part-time isn't fair if the person coming behind her is not working full-time. So for me, it is more of a cost of living change than because the current mayor does more and works more. So we basically, I would be willing, again, vote for the 2%. So that's kind of where I sit. I mean, we don't absolutely have to make a decision today if we can't agree on it. But we could make a decision today.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of it. So I'm listening to both your views.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty small amount if you think about it annually. So I could be swayed to agree with Fred. I mean, I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. I mean, I guess if we went with what Fred's saying, then we're keeping everything the same. So as long as we're all comfortable with that.
Yeah, I would be willing to go that direction as well. Especially you know, Fred, you make a great point about, especially if the city's budget's gonna be in the red, it would be hard to justify any increase for anybody unless they were had a union or like a contract, like a union contract.
And that is
All right.
correct, Charlie?
Yeah.
That's correct, that it's gonna be in the red, they're anticipating.
I can comment on that, Art. Oops. Our budget's currently in the red for 2024. We're going to be making adjustments to bring it back into the black. City has to balance its budget. Art. We can operate in the red a little bit, but we're not looking to do that.
Honestly, based off that, and I must have missed that before when Fred was talking about it, but yeah, I think if the city's currently in the red, then I would be more inclined to vote for no change.
So Fred, if you're willing to make a motion, I think you've got our agreeance.
Okay, so I make a motion that the mayor's annual salary remains the same.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, that passes. Charlie, is there any other business that we need to do? Let's see.
There is nothing on my radar at this point. So new business is completely open. If there's anything the commission wants to talk about at a future meeting, I can certainly take that down and we can work on it.
I guess when might be the next time you need us, like next year?
Probably. I haven't talked with Kelly about that. I think we try to meet quarterly, but certainly we'll just cancel that meeting if there's nothing to discuss.
Yeah, maybe in our next meeting's early next year or sometime Marchish. If anybody, or whenever there's a consensus.
Sounds good. We'll
If we don't,
What kind of motion on that? I think we met in March. Our first meeting was in March. Do we want to just tentatively say we'll set the next meeting for March 2024?
you're gonna motion that?
If we need one.
I don't know if we do, Charlie, do you think we need one or can we just do it over email?
It's not preferable to do it over email, but I don't
Okay.
necessarily think you need one either. If you're okay with staff just calling one when we need one, we'll take note that March 2024 seems to be the preference for the group.
I would be okay with that when you guys needed us to.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Well, if that's everything. Meeting
right.
adjourned? Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Yes, I'm in favor. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Have a great day.